Why is it important that India be defined as a union of states?
So, how would you react if democracy suddenly disappeared in Europe?
He is imposing an idea on India that India cannot absorb. Right?
Rahul Gandhi is in London as part of a week-long visit to the UK for a lecture as visiting fellow at the University of Cambridge and is scheduled to interact with the Indian diaspora on Sunday. Rahul Gandhi will be in London for 3 days, speaking at British Parliament and meeting the Indian diaspora, and he also addressed a press conference organised by the Indian Journalist Association. He is also being hosted at an event in the House of Commons complex on behalf of the UK opposition Labour Party and will address the Chatham House think tank in London on the Russia-Ukraine conflict and wider geopolitical issues before concluding his visit to Britain. Rahul Gandhi's comment India Union of States was met with resistance from the right-wingers both in the West and in India. Rahul Gandhi in London as part of a UK tour, told reporters here that there are conversations ongoing within the opposition to unite around an alternative vision for the country and act upon an undercurrent of anger over pressing issues such as unemployment, price rise, the concentration of wealth and violence against women.
So, how would you react if democracy suddenly disappeared in Europe? Right? You'd be shocked and you'd be like, oh my God, that's a massive blow to democracy. Well, how would you react if something, a structure 3.5 times Europe suddenly went non-democratic? Right? That's happened already. That's not something that is going to happen in the future. That's already happened. But there's no reaction. And if we're talking about Europe, that's the thing that shocks me. There's no reaction, right? And of course, there are reasons for there not being a reaction. There is sort of trade and there's money and stuff like that. But Indian democracy is a public good. And if you're looking at the democratic structure, it is the single most important public good. The largest, it's 3 or 4 times the size of the United States in terms of numbers. Same with regards to Europe. So the surprising thing is that the so-called defenders of democracy, which are the United States, European countries, seem to just be oblivious that a huge chunk of the democratic model has come undone, right? Which is a real problem. With regards to
Gandhi also hit back at the government's criticism that he had maligned the country on foreign soil during his lecture at Cambridge University earlier this week, where he had first raised the issue of Indian democracy being under attack. He said, "I have never defamed my country. I'm not interested in it. I will never do it. The BJP likes to twist what I say. The fact of the matter is the person who defames India when he goes abroad is the Prime Minister of India, saying there was a lost decade, and nothing happened in the last 10 years. So what about all those people who worked in India, who built India in those 10 years? Is he not insulting them? And he's doing it on foreign soil." The Congress MP added that there are billions of dollars behind a certain narrative being presented and pointed the finger at Gautam Adani, the Adani Group founder and chairman. "Mr. Adani seems to win every auction he takes part in," Gandhi said.
He is imposing an idea on India that India cannot absorb. Right? India, as I said, is a union of states. It's a negotiation. And if you try to force one idea on a union, it'll react. I've got a Sikh gentleman sitting here, right? He's from the Sikh religion. He comes from India. He comes from India. Right? We've got Muslims in India. We've got Christians in India. We've got different languages in India, right? They're all India. Mr. Narendra Modi says he's not. Mr. Narendra Modi says he's a second-class citizen in India. The institutional framework, which is required for a democracy, parliament, a free press.
Here is how India is defined constitutionally. The government portal defining the Constitution of India opens with the statement, "India, Bharat, a union of states, is a sovereign, secular, democratic republic with a parliamentary system of government." Why is India called a union of states? There were officially 565 princely states when India and Pakistan became independent in 1947. There were 16 kingdoms that had coalesced into 4 major ones by 500 and 400s BCE, by the time of Gautam Buddha. These 4 were Vatsa, Avanti, Koshila, and Magadha. Why is it important now that India be defined as a union of states? In the heat of all these arguments going on in India, it turns out Rahul Gandhi is right. Constitutionally, India is indeed defined as a union of states. Here, the union can create new states and or merge existing ones, and redraw boundaries, but in all this, India, Bharat, is a sovereign nation consisting of states. India is presently battling through a stormy climate of intolerance. Be it the language Hindi versus South Indian languages, cultural clashes, or whether one is a staunch worshipper of Kali, Shiva, or Ram, there are arguments. Centralization will weaken some states. Rahul's focus on India as a union of states was to highlight that each state should retain its originality and ethnicity as its uniqueness due to the vast diversity of ethnicities in India. This will retain Bharat as a whole beautiful harmonious nation, the theme of our preamble, unity in diversity.